Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of First Impressions, and today you're looking at After the Burial. Now, After the Burial are a progressive metalcore, deathcore band formed in 2004. They have served as key developers in both djent and progressive metalcore. The band has had a revolving lineup over the years, with the lead guitarist Prince Havagal as the sole remaining founding member, and has gone through several members over the years and several different positions in the band, including going through 3 lead singers. Evergreen is the band's 6th studio album from the band and released on April 19th of this year, 2019. Now, let's see how this album stacks up by first looking at the artwork, and as always, remember the artwork doesn't have any bearing on my enjoyment of the album. This is just something I do for fun. The artwork features some very beautiful scenery with the trees in the forest in the bottom half, fog in the middle, and the top half being like this upside down landscape of the mountain. It is a really beautiful cover. I also really do like the subtly dark shading on the cover as a whole. It is a very solid cover, and I'm going to go ahead and give it an 8 out of 10. Now let's go ahead into the music, and we are going to be doing this track by track, starting with Behold the Crown. Neat open strumming before the drop of the intro. Opening riffs are very strong here, especially when it comes to hold the notes, which it feels a bit whammy, bit of that wham bar pedal, the instrumentation from the guitars is pretty damn strong here. The song has some strong changes in the progressions to keep it fresh but still heavy. And there's a pretty good guitar solo. It's a pretty awesome opening track and definitely a very strong single. Then we get Exist. Strong guitar riffs in the intro, the kick drums, and when it hits the hi-hat, it does sound good during those moments, especially with how good the kick drum sounds here. The slightly electronic breakdown does not work here, however. The guitar sounds hollow and it's completely buried under the mix during the part of the drum solo, which is during this part of the sort of electronic breakdown, I should clarify. Excuse me. The drum solo halfway through the song is definitely solid, and the bass that comes in right before the drop is definitely an added bonus. However, the guitar tone feels so thin that the drop does not have much of an impact. Then we get 1126. The lead guitar notes in the intro are solid. It does a great job with the harmony. The breakdown is strong here. I do really love the drums in this track. The guitar could have been slightly louder in the bridge. The solo has a nice slow and starts out slow before picking up with the guitar tapping. In Flux is next. And I do like the alarm sound from the guitar in the intro. And the riffs in the intro are fast and great, but the guitar is quiet in the mix. The breakdown is pretty generic here. This is a pretty generic metalcore song you have heard several times before. The intro with the open strumming and the strings do sound pretty, I will add. Then we get Reprise, which has a great guitar solo, and outside of that, it is just really a song that's discount As I Lay Dying. Quicksand follows that. The reverb on the open strumming in the intro is a neat touch. The guitar tone here sounds very thin and quiet in the mix. The drum fills are very strong here. The reverb on the guttural vocals do not work here. The outro with the guitar being skipped on in feedback loop is neat, I will add. We reach then the Great Repeat. Opening riff here is strong and neat. The lead melody from the guitar during this part is fantastic, and the riffs are very strong and they have some decent flair to them to keep them fresh. We reach the second to last track, To Change Existence. Choppy riff to start, and the song mostly relies on this rather choppy riff, which does get old fast. Does not help that so many prog bands before, and also a lot of metalcore bands too, have just abused this kind of riff. That's definitely something that really goes against and hinders the song quite a bit for me. Now we reach the final song, A Pulse Exchanged. I really am a fan of the kick drum blast beat here. The 250 mark, that part sounds slightly really in that vein. Really love the blast beat near the end and the black metal riff near the end. And as a whole, I will say that this does sound like a run-of-the-mill metalcore album, This album, aside from a few moments, is pretty much just count As I Lay Dying, in which case you can listen to As I Lay Dying instead, or rather, I'd say there's other really good metalcore releases in 2019 that I would say that definitely deserve your attention over this. The opening track is a really solid song, but other than that and a few moments throughout the rest of these tracks, this album takes a pretty big dip in quality. One of the biggest problems with this album is the thin production and hollow mix on the guitar to hinder songs significantly and dampen the weight of some of the album's best riffs. And the drums, I would say, are also a bit too loud. Not a lot, but just a tad too loud here. The screaming throughout is solid, and the lyrics are as well. I really don't have complaints or critiques in that department. Also, the bass feels nearly non-existent this entire album. Nothing from the bass really stood out from me. This album overall does feel a bit uninspired, and I cannot recommend this album for anyone outside of the first track. The album gets really boring after the first song, which for metalcore is a big, huge issue because metalcore is one of the big aspects of metalcore is that it's supposed to be something that's like pumps you full of adrenaline and that sort of thing, and shouldn't be like taking a Xanax. This album's runtime is only like a little under 40 minutes. It's like 5 seconds under 40 minutes, but it feels so much longer than that, and this is also only 9 songs as well. This was a very boring listen and one that I definitely cannot recommend. And also, it is a bit of a disappointment because this is a band that, especially from the first track, you can tell has so much more good stuff to offer than what was put out. And that's why I'm going to go ahead and give Evergreen by After the Burial an overall score of 3 out of 10, giving an overall score of terrible. And my 2 favorite tracks on this album were Behold the Ground and The Great Repeat. What were your thoughts on Evergreen by After the Burial, and were you as disappointed in it as a lot of people were? Let me know in the comments down below, and as always, I want to thank you for taking your time out of your day to watch this review, and I hope you all have a great day.